Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
They heard a noise. What kind of noise was it? It was a noise that was scary.
It sounded like a huge snowplow.
A huge snowplow. What happened? A bridge collapsed in Pittsburgh. Oddly enough, in a coinkydink, as they would say. Young Mr. Biden, President of the United States. It's going to be in Pittsburgh. Talk about infrastructure today. Coincidence? I think not. Take to the subreddit blogs and cue yourself out, guys. This is what it's all about. They have done it. It is weird, right? Like we can say it's weird. I don't think anybody was hurt in the making of the bridge falling down. Kind of collapsed. But it is kind of, he's there today. That's what he's doing. Going there, and this bridge collapsed earlier this morning. 4 vehicles, including a Port Authority bus on the bridge near Forbes and Baddock Avenues, which splits the Point Breeze and Regent Square and Squirrel Hill neighborhoods of Pittsburgh. Another vehicle was shown dangling near the edge of the collapsed bridge. There was a small little crack that apparently grew. There's also a strong smell of natural gas in the area. Oh, my God. It is kind of weird, though. I mean, if you were to go, hey, this is kind of weird, right? Yeah, we need help. I don't know if you're aware of this. A lot of our bridges suck. A lot of them do. They're not very good. We have a lot of infrastructure problems here.
With him coming today to talk about this infrastructure bill, to discuss why this funding is so important, today is significant of that. You know, at the end of the day, we could have had some serious injuries.
Yeah. Luckily, nobody was hurt. The coincidence? Start the conspiracy theories now. I bet you the bridge got a vaccine. What do you guys think? Or there was vaccines on the bridge. Or, how about this? Let's go back, a week? The monkeys, right? Remember the monkeys? That truck crashes. 12 monkeys get out, but there was the 13th monkey. Guy is in the van. He's kind of dazed. Lady comes up to him and says, "What's inside the van?" He's like, "I'm transporting cats." Up pops a monkey. That's not a cat. She's taking, was it rabies medicine? CDC comes out, chase these monkeys down. Of course, then they put them the minute they get them, they destroy them. That, too, was in Pittsburgh. I'm just saying, take it for what it's worth. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Oh, Biden.
But CNN's new poll of polls says Biden's overall job approval rating at 42%, and that includes a new Monmouth survey that says only 30% of Americans think that President Biden is very concerned with the economic well-being of average Americans.
Yeah. The thing I've been talking about for the last several months, you know, even with Trump, and you go back to Trump, he was busy trying to get reelected. People were worried about the Omicron, before the Omicron, the Delta, before the Delta, the Alpha. I don't even know where we start. The OG. People worried about that from jump. And things were going on, and the media, we were all over the place, and the media was fighting with Trump, and people felt like he was all he wanted to do was get reelected, which, of course, who doesn't want to get reelected if you're up for reelection and you want the gig? But the reality is if you're not going to be engaged, and right now this is on Biden, people want to know you feel it. Even if you're not living through it, that you can at least empathize and understand what they're going with. If you have a bunch of Americans who feel that you no longer care about the things that they're going through because you're too busy virtue signaling, you're too busy talking about something that you promised everybody that you were going to fix, but you haven't fixed because you can't do it, because it's impossible to do. See the coronavirus? All the while, you'll come out and say, we grew 5.9%. Look at her, or 5.7% last year. Our GDP, that's amazing, biggest since 1984. But everybody's also looking around going, hold on a second. All that being said, inflation is through the roof, and we're feeling that. You can grow it all you want. If stuff's more expensive because of inflation, people are spending more money because they have to, but they're getting less, and they're feeling the pinch of that. That is massive. It's about engaging with people, right? When you don't engage, when you don't make it feel like that you can understand what they're going through. That used to be like the first thing you do when you go to political school to learn how to be a politician was feel like that you have an understanding of what people are going through so you can reach them. Hillary Clinton's biggest issue is nobody felt that she was real and authentic. Trump, for all of his faults, people at least go, he's authentic, and he's talking to me, not at me. The great thing about, Obama, great at making you feel like he's talking at you. No, he's talking to you. Feel like you're the only one in the room. He was a great orator. He could bring it. Too much paralysis by analysis in many occasions for certain things, but the reality is, Biden was supposed to be he's the great empathizer, right? You've got to make people feel like that you're in it with them. And if the everyday average American doesn't feel like that you're not getting the fact that you can talk about 7% inflation all you want. That's an average. The reality is gas is up how much? On average, 35 to 40%. Your groceries are up 35 to 40%. Oh, each one of those things may be up 3, 5, 6, 8%. But when you start adding them all up, you feel it. And that's the issue. When you start to lose the people because they feel like you're not in it, they feel like you're not going to be engaged, and that you're too busy talking about other things, not that you can't, walk and chew gum, but you're not engaging in that one thing that affects everybody to the core, you start to lose it. You do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. I digress. We pivot from the United States of America to a phone call. How many times have we heard this? There was a phone call placed to the president of the Ukraine.
A senior Ukrainian official tells CNN that today's phone call between President Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, quote, did not go well. The two disagreed about the immediacy of the threat of a Russian attack on Ukraine. The White House and Pentagon have been emphatic that they believe an attack could be imminent. We should note the White House just released its own readout of that call, and there was no mention of President Biden's warnings or the two presidents' disagreements. The White House did say Biden underscored America's commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty.
Yeah. But you've got two different phone calls, it feels like, that's going on here. Two different phone calls. What I heard, what you heard. One of us is probably telling more of the truth than the other. Stuff can get lost in translation. But also, some of the things we've talked about here is the fact that a lot of people, European nations, some of them, you get prepared, but the way you do it also matters. And some people are saying, are we being a little too freak-outy about it?
There was definitely a disagreement about the sort of level of risk that the country is facing when it comes to a Russian invasion. On the one hand, President Biden saying the threat is imminent. Ukrainians pushing back on that, saying that the threat, according to their intelligence analysts, is a bit more ambiguous than that, and it's possible that there won't be an invasion. Whereas President Biden apparently telling his Ukrainian counterpart that an invasion was virtually certain later on in February when the ground becomes more frozen in this country.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we've talked about. He wants to get in there when it's more frozen, but he's not going to do anything anytime soon because the Olympics start a week from today, and Xi wants the world looking at him, not what's going on over there. But you see the two differences there. Are you making something worse because you are pushing something that hasn't yet been 100% decided? You're pushing something. It's don't think about it. It's now. Yes. And look, you're not moving 120, what they say, 112 to 130,000 soldiers now. You're not moving that many soldiers because many of them were stationed all over. They brought people in from everywhere, including Siberia. You're not moving that many on and arming them the way you are without something in mind. But it didn't sound like it went well. It didn't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Seems to care more about that border than our border. We're going to talk about that. The ice dumps that are happening. I'm not talking about the, hey, we got a bunch of ice and you guys want anything for your drinks. We're talking about ice, right? Immigration, customs, enforcement, and what is going on. Why nobody else is talking about it outside of people in the right side of the media. It should piss you off. It should. Even if you're not on the right. Enough is enough. This can't happen anymore. At some point, we got to say, okay, look, we got to figure something out, but this can't happen. Talk about that, plenty of other stuff as well. Calibrate. Getting fit, always fun. It can be hard. Sometimes, no matter how good your willpower is, it doesn't matter. And part of that is because biology. What ends up happening in your body is, are you ready for it? Your metabolism. Over time, it sets itself in such an area where it feels comfortable. When you start to lose weight, your body is doing everything to hang on because it thinks it's starting to starve. And so that's life, right? It thinks, oh my God, we're starving ourselves. Guys, shut everything down. We're starving ourselves. We can't do that. We need to try to stay alive. That's where Calibrate comes in. FDA-approved medication paired with lifestyle changes, simple ones, will give you a doctor-guided metabolic reset that will actually be sustainable. Calibrate is easy, fits into anybody's schedule. What I love about it is it's easy and fits into people's schedule. You get a one-on-one doctor's visit via video. You've got one-on-one video coaching, in-app stuff that you can work with other people like you and me and everybody. And it's for people that, look, as you get older, sometimes stuff gets out of whack and you can do all the things you think you're going to do and then it comes right back on. Don't be that person. You've tried everything. Don't starve yourself. Make small changes. Do it with Calibrate and see life-changing results. Your weight doesn't reflect your willpower. Get back in control today with Calibrate. $50 off a one-year metabolic reset. Use promo code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. That's $50 off when you use code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth! Come on, man!
Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
For Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons' command.
Oh, Canada. Now, I don't know if you guys are watching any of this. The media doesn't report much of it, and it's actually a big story. It is, and it's starting to pick up not just here, but globally. You're seeing it. Truckers in Canada are pissed, and they're heading to the capital, Ottawa. Convoy left Vancouver earlier this week, has more than 275,000 supporters on Facebook, 40,000 supports on the encrypted messaging app Telegram, has raised 5.5 million Canadian dollars, which is a nickel, and has 70,000 donations on GoFundMe. I don't know how many. Here's the problem with, and this is a perfect example of, I don't know what the answer, if you ask me, how many people are involved in this? I don't know. Like, and I'm not just talking about like, okay, we saw how many people have given, but like how many trucks are going there? It's a convoy. How many of them are there? Drivers, it's not just, there's, guys, you see guys on tractors and everything. They're driving there. It's not a lot going on in Canada. Let's be real. It's the winter, right? It's not a ton, right? Like this, they get their donuts and they're ready for some hockey. I'm kidding. God, settle down, you Canadians. But the vaccine mandate is pissing them off. Because not just about truckers being vaccinated there, but it's also about being able to come over here and then get back into the country. Again, the supply chain is all over the place, right? We're not going to have any maple syrup or hockey pucks. It's not very nice. But you can't get a real idea because both sides of the media, but in particular on this one, the left just ignores it or gives you or dismisses it. Reuters, anti-vaccine candidates roll towards Ottawa. By the way, because you like freedom and you don't like mandates, in particular, something like this, doesn't mean you're anti-vaccine. It's so easy to say that. That is the go-to of so many people nowadays. I believe in marriage between a man and a woman. Oh, it's because you're anti-gay. What? You're homophobic. You're vaccine phobic. You can, like me. Look, I'm going to throw it out there. I've had both my shots and I got a booster. Booster was really easy. I probably wouldn't have got it if I had to make plans and go somewhere, but I got both my shots and a booster. I'm in relatively pretty decent health. But I don't like mandates. But you can't get any real numbers because everybody's skewing something. It should piss everybody off. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Here's a headline. Governor holds up dog's butt during State of the State, tells Bette Midler to kiss her hiney. Jim Justice, Republican, West Virginia, held up his dog's butt Thursday at the end of the State of the State. Told Bette Midler basically kiss that dog's ass. Why is that? Because who's from West Virginia? Manchin. So criticizing West Virginia is easy to do, right? Because he didn't give them everything they wanted because he looked and said, no, we're not going to do this because this is ridiculous. And the thought that we are now going to do this for everything when it comes to getting rid of the filibuster is insanity and will only lead, as Kirsten Sinema, the other Democrat who didn't vote to it, with the fringes controlling everything. Bette Midler apparently tweeted out, he wants us all to be like his state. Poor, illiterate, and strung out. By the way, she got a lot of pushback, I guess, apparently. You don't see that every day. Hey, bring my dog over here. Hey, dog. Just give me that ass right there. Yeah, that's right. Bette, kiss this ass. I don't know if they sound like that. Jim Justice kind of does. What a name, too, right? Jim Justice? It's like a bad Marvel character. What's up, everybody? It's me, Jim Justice, here for Justice for All. The President of the United States very worried about what's going on in the Ukraine, as we have heard. Their phone call didn't go well yesterday.
He warned the Ukrainian leader that the capital, Kiev, could be sacked. And that's the word he apparently used, according to this Ukrainian official, sacked by Russian forces, who he said may attempt to occupy it. President Biden, according to this official, saying that he told the Ukrainian leader that Ukraine would not be getting significantly more military help, that there would be no US troops sent to Ukraine to defend it. Also, no sophisticated weapons, further sophisticated weapons delivered to Ukraine from the United States.
Yeah. You guys are on your own, and it's probably going to be, if he goes in, it could get ugly fast. And then what's the world do? That's the big thing. This is what the Germans did. I don't know if you guys saw this. They've been pretty big helpers in this. They sent them like 1,000 military helmets. Saw somebody yesterday was like, what? That's even worse than sending them nothing. And they've been the one that has blocked, because Estonia wanted to give the Ukrainians deadly weapons, if you will, to protect themselves, of which many of them they had bought from Germany, and Germany told Estonia, you're not allowed to do that. So don't do that. And look, what did we say about when this whole thing came down in July of last year, that they were going to give the Pooter what he wanted, much of it pushed through as well by the Germans who wanted this, and that was going to be what? He wanted that Nord Stream 2, and everybody said he is going to use and weaponize these pipelines even more so now. Everybody's like, yeah. And nobody listened. But even Democrats were like, you can't do this. I can't blame it all on the Biden administration. I mean, Trump said no, but I can't blame it all on the Biden administration, because Germany was a big pusher for this. And by the way, Germany took 3 of their nuclear power plants offline within the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, they're vested in this. They are. Absolutely. That border, he seems to care about, the old Biden there. The border he doesn't care about saw a record-breaking 2+ million people come in. Well, I'm going to say that again. 2 million people last year came here. 2 million. Illegally. They weren't invited. They didn't get some in the mail and go, guess what, guys? We've been invited to a black tie party. They came here illegally. Oh, that's not good. No, it is not good. It is not good at all. Remember the policy, right? The Remain in Mexico policy. Yesterday I talked to Brandon Judge, who is basically the spokes guy. He's still a border agent, but he's the spoke guy for the National Border Patrol.
The migrant protection protocols was like a light switch. The moment it went into effect, the moment people were not released into the United States, they stopped coming. And that's exactly what would happen if we held people in custody.
Yeah, and his thing is we should hold people in custody. And everybody's like, you can't hold 2 million people in custody. He goes, no, you don't hold 2 million people in custody. You do it for 2 weeks or a month. And he said, nobody is going to pay cartels and coyotes to bring people here if they're going to be essentially arrested at the border and put straight into custody until they're hearing and then pushed right back over the border. They're not going to do that. Eventually, that'll stop because we're not following the stay in Mexico plan anymore. And then it was, well, we're only trying to catch the bad guys, and we're not going to do anything other than that. And if you're here as a family, right? So it's a mother and she's got a couple kids, or it's a full family unit. We're going to release them, but that's it. Everybody else is going back, and that's not true. And what ICE is doing right now is awful.
From the southern border, the practice of releasing large numbers of illegal immigrants into the U.S.
Adult male migrants have their chains and cuffs removed as they're released from ICE custody in Brownsville. The men were then escorted into a parking garage where a black tarp was set up to obstruct public view, and they were discreetly taken away by a non-governmental organization which will facilitate their travel. Throughout the day, we saw more single adults being released from ICE custody, including this large group of predominantly adult men who are being walked to the bus terminal by the NGO.
Oh, yeah. Walked to the bus terminal. NGO, non-government organization. So picture this. This isn't supposed to be happening, and it's happening en masse. This isn't supposed to be happening to the point where they've come out and they said, well, this doesn't really happen.
Many of these men tried to hide their faces from our cameras, and now ICE is responding on the mass release of these adult migrants, telling us in part, quote, ICE focuses its civil immigration enforcement priorities on the apprehension and removal of non-citizens who pose a threat to national security, public safety, and border security. Individuals deemed suitable for release are released in coordination with local partners and are subject to reporting requirements.
Oh, okay. Okay. But we have been told how many different times? Well, if they're here as a family unit, they'll have a better chance of staying. If they're here as a single male, we're going to send them back. None of that is happening. They are lying. They are lying. They are absolutely lying. At some point, we need to figure this out. At some point, we need to address the fact that you're doing nothing at all. At some point, we have to stand up and say, okay, we've had enough. We've had enough. You cannot do this anymore. When we talked to Brandon Judge yesterday, he's telling me, I said, dude, how many? Because when I talk to where I am out in the Casa Grande area is right between, it's one of the big headquarters for the Border Patrol out here. It is smack dab between Tucson and Phoenix, and there's a wide swath, and it's very busy. And mostly drugs come through there because of the Tohono O'odham Indian tribe, and it's much easier to get through there with drugs and human smuggling for certain things because it's harder to patrol the land, the native land. It's much harder. I said, how many for every one we capture, right? So let's say it's not even capture because they're surrendering. So for every 10 that give up or trying to cross the border, how many of them really go into custody? He goes, at best, we catch 40%. At best. And now they're doing this. Enough. We need to figure out how we go about getting people to come here and work. We got a lot of job openings, and after hearing that anti-work movement, I am completely fine with that. I've got zero problems with that. Allowing people to move freely back and forth on visas of 90 days, 120 days, etc. Don't overstay your visa because you won't get another one. Crack down on it for real. I think there's ways of going about doing it. This is not it. Even if you're like, hey, we should be more lenient on immigration, you still have to go, well, this is a bit much.
On Tuesday, hundreds of adult men were dropped off by federally contracted buses, some with ankle monitors. The men were given travel packets to go wherever they want. Scenes that have since gone viral and drew some strong reactions.
When someone crosses our border illegally, their final destination should always be turning them around and sending them back to their home country.
Not only are we sending them to their final destination, the U.S. taxpayer is paying for it.
Yeah.
We're paying for those air flights.
Amazing.
So once again, this administration got caught lying to the American people.
Yeah. And you should be pissed off about this. Even if, and I've got, I tweeted something out last night about, why Biden seems to care about borders, just not this one kind of thing. And, I had a couple of people who, doesn't matter what I say because they think I'm, some nut job or whatever. And I just laugh. And they're definitely on the left. But they even said, 2 million, that's a bridge too far for even my liberalness, is what one person said to me. And I just sit there and laugh. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we can be sympathetic, but you're lying to us. Enough. We got more on this throughout the show. I'm telling you guys right now, we should absolutely be pissed. We should. 2 million people last year. We'll probably break that this year. Nary a word from this administration. Nary a word. Mayorkas was down here the other day, Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. He did not see the governor here in Arizona. He stealthily came in, had a meeting with the Yuma mayor and a couple other people, and left, promising to fix parts of the wall, cosmetic stuff. Enough. That guy's a clown. Oh, God. Talk about somebody who needs to go. And then you've got, of course, our great vice president who is doing a phenomenally bang-up job at the border. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. MyPillow has something for you. Maybe we should get everybody a MyPillow. You're going to sleep better, but you can also walk better. What? Yeah. Comfier. How? My Slippers. 40% off right now. Incredible. These My Slippers are amazing. Took them several years to develop. They're leather suede on the outside, and the inside they've got this incredible like fur, and it just feels awesome. True fit. Wear them indoors, outdoors, and you get 40% off them right now. And with the sole, it's 3 in 1 when it comes to the sole, including the memory foam, a special fill that is made out of this incredible soybean mixture that's like a gel. It is awesome. You're going to love these. So comfortables. Made right here in the USA. Right now, 40% off. MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson to save big. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Deep discounts on everything. But get these slippers. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
This is it. Last week, because it's going to be hard to top. I'm sorry. Last week was the best weekend of football I've ever seen. It'll be hard to top this weekend, but we do have the AFC and NFC championship games. They are Sunday. So no football tomorrow. We're down to 3 games. Think about that for a second. So we've got football tomorrow, no football next weekend, and then the Super Bowl February 13th. Let's talk about this weekend's games. Bengals and Chiefs. Arguably the best football game I've ever seen in my life. Saw that the Wall Street Journal did a report on all the Kansas City fans who turned their TV off after Buffalo scored the touchdown and kicked the extra point. They turned their TV off. It was pretty funny. It was. A lot of people out there did. I was watching something yesterday. It was on Twitter. It was, NFL Films releases little bits and pieces and stuff they film. And it was a part where Josh Allen and them were celebrating on the sidelines. They had their big coats on. They were hugging each other. He's like, we're going to the AFC Championship game. And as we know what happened, that did. In 13 seconds, he drives him down there. Old Mahomes. Long field goal. And Buckner had not played well, really kicked well that day. He nails it, goes into overtime. The rest is history. To Kelsey, win for the Chiefs. Not going to be that tough this weekend. I love the fight of the Bengals. The Kitties, if you would have told them at the beginning of the year, you're going to lose in the AFC Championship game, they would have been like, we're going to get to the AFC Championship. They've been playing with house money the moment they got in the playoffs. They got in the playoffs. That was the first playoff win since 1990. 3 decades. It ends this weekend. 3rd year in a row, the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. 49ers and Rams. The Rams and the 49ers again. Very interesting. Let's talk about this game because I'm a Ram fan. I grew up a Ram fan. Then they moved and they broke my heart. And I'm like, you guys are SOBs. I don't want anything to do with you. You broke my heart. And they left and they came back. And I do like the Rams. And the 49ers are a good football team. They have won. They're probably the hottest team right now. Potentially, the 49ers. Here's the thing. They've won both the games, and I think this year, I think it's been like 5 or 6 in a row. But it is tough to beat a team 3 times in a year. Ram fans are going to be outnumbered, even at home, even though they've tried to make it so 49er fans can't get tickets. But I think it comes down to quarterback play. And the one thing that they were missing and the one thing they went and did was get a quarterback. They traded away all their draft picks to put together a team, not to win next year, the year after this, but to win now. And that's what they're going to do. Chiefs, Rams, Super Bowl. Lock that down. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I love hearing from all of you. You can tweet at me. Feel free to do that. Text the program. I will try to get to as many emails and texts as I possibly can throughout the day. Maya Voice tweets at me. Dude, make up your mind. I tweeted out, if European countries like Germany and France aren't ready to fight for the Ukraine, then why should we? I don't want to fight for the Ukraine. I don't. I don't think we should send anybody over there to fight. All that being said, we also promised them if they give up the nuclear weapons that we were in some way, shape, or form going to help them. And we can't let him wander across the Ukraine and several other places potentially to try to bring back the Soviet Union. Feel free to tweet and text at me. Love hearing from all of you. Happy Friday. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
That's me. Is there going to be a long battle in the Supreme Court? Yeah. So you got the Supreme Court, who has now got a vacancy. Not yet. Just because Breyer's left, he hasn't really left. He leaves at the end of his term, and that's kind of what's going to happen in June. Who's it going to be? When he was out on the campaign trail, in particular to Clyburn, who really helped him, essentially saved his ass and got him elected for president. I said that when it happened. The minute he endorsed him in South Carolina, that changed everything. And he won that, and then he picked up steam, and he went. If it wasn't for Clyburn, it wouldn't have happened. But he promised he was going to put a black woman on the Supreme Court. That's who he's going to nominate.
I've made no decision except one. Person I will nominate will be someone with extraordinary qualifications, character, experience, and integrity. And that person will be the first black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court. It's long overdue in my view.
So that's what he promised. And we've kind of gone over, who's really, I think it's Brown Jackson, Conchita Brown Jackson, is probably the one that of the candidates that people are looking at that is definitely in the lead. There's all the thought process that, he's going to nominate, Kamala. Bill Kristol, the Weekly Standard fame. I think he's on MSNBC now, super conservative guy that really couldn't stand Trump. Still, and also not funny like his namesake. He laid out this massive plan about like Roe v. and Wade being overturned. And then the end of the session, and then on July 4th, nominating the Vice President Harris to be the new Supreme Court Justice, and then him picking Mitt Romney as his Vice President, and then you'd have a Biden-Romney ticket, which would. Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. There you go. So you had that. It's a weird. It's not happening. I mean, you could float it out there because it's fun to talk about, right? So we talk about sports, like what if we traded so and so for such and such, and all those things. You're not doing that. I mean, I'm not saying never, because every time I go, well, you can't, you step back for a second. Oh, hold on a second. Trump was president. So you can't ever say never. But the reality is it would be a slap in the face for Kamala Harris. And you're just not going to do that. That's something you're not going to do. And the Democrats, well, behind the scenes, are going like, she's a nightmare. This is not working. She's not favorable. Blacks, whites, Republicans, Democrats, they're all having, she doesn't resonate with anybody. And that's something you're not going to see, but it is fun to, throw that stuff out there in the world of what ifs. What if that happened? It's not going to, but could it? But then you got to look and see, you're going to get the votes. We all think it's a done deal when it comes to whoever they're going to choose, right? Because it's going to be 50-50 and she's going to break the deadlock. Manchin's not 100% certain. He said, I may vote for somebody more liberal to me. He didn't say I would. Susan Collins.
As you know, I felt that the timetable for the last nominee was too compressed. This time there is no need for any rush. We can take our time, have hearings, go through the process, which is a very important one. It is a lifetime appointment after all.
Yeah. Yeah, so this will be interesting. And she's a Republican, she's kind of like the Republican version of Joe Manchin, right? She's a little bit to the left, but not on the left side, just a little bit more of what you consider old school Republican. So you got Trump, so you got far right, you got Trump fans and sycophants and supporters. They're not all the same, but that's kind of the group. Then you got conservatives, and then you have Republicans. And conservatives are not Republicans. I mean, that's who they vote with, but they're not what I would consider, like Bill Kristol. You go back and you look at all the Brinkley and everything. Those are conservatives. Those are the guys you would think about, the intelligentsia sitting around their tweeds. Yes, of course. And that's not the same. It's not the same. And then on the left, you got the far left, right? You got the progressives, and then there you got a bunch. And you got the Democrats. And then you've got the libertarian Democrats / independents, right? Like, in theory, Bernie's an independent. Angus King's an independent. They vote to the left side of the aisle, but they're not Democrats. But it's not a done deal that whoever they pick gets through like that. So we'll see. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Biden heading to Pittsburgh today, and something happened.
The infrastructure in Pittsburgh is known to be poor with bridges. Happens to be happening at the same time President Biden is arriving today to talk about infrastructure, which is an amazing coincidence.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what happened. I don't know. Something. What do you think happened? I think a bridge collapsed, and it has to be a coincidence. I don't think there was anything nefarious. I don't think anybody died on it. A couple people were on the bridge, but is it a coincidence? Yeah. You've already got that portion of the bill passed. I don't know what else you want. I mean, there's nothing else. Well, the other infrastructure bill is different because it's not an infrastructure. It's the human infrastructure bill. And the human infrastructure bill is absolutely different because you want to do a lot of different things. There's all kinds of stuff inside of there that, to me, is a no-go. And one of them is the thought process of universal pre-K. And there's a new study out, and it's a pretty decent-sized study. And it's funny that nobody's talking about the universal pre-K. And this will be passing something that your kids are going to go to state-funded schools. Now, other kids, if you've got the means, you're going to put them where you'd like to put them. So they did a study in Tennessee that was done by Vanderbilt University, and it started in 2015. So when they really started looking into it and digging in as it went along, because it wasn't going to be a study of, we're going to study this controlled group over here. What we're going to do is we're going to take two groups of kids. We're going to offer them a state-funded school and others not so much. The state-funded school and the kids that not so much, we're going to give them anything. They're not coming from means. We're looking at poor kids who would benefit potentially from universal pre-K. So it was a voluntary pre-K program, 2009, 2010, 2010, 2011 school years. Almost 3,000 children they looked at. So it was a long-term impact. They wanted to see what this was all about. And it was very interesting. It surprised even them. And I tell you what, when you look at this, so it started okay. But by the time they got to kindergarten, all of that stuff had started to evaporate as far as learning. Then they started slowly but surely falling further and further behind all the kids that went to the state-funded schools. And by the time they got to the 6th grade, there was a noticeable issue. By the end of 6th grade, the children in the study who had been randomly selected to attend the state's pre-K program were more likely to be referred to special education services than their peers who had not secured a spot in the program. They also had more discipline problems. Previous research suggests that quality of the teachers in elementary schools that the children attend may boost or undermine long-term effects. Well, duh. Like, do you really need a study to say that? Like, that's the perfect example of duh. Previous studies have said that this thing that is way better will make people happier than this thing that sucks. Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. In fact, what I found to be very interesting is the fact that the person who did the study said, sometimes nothing is better than something. I was like, oh, geez. And that's one of those things inside these massive bills that they want to pass, which is universal pre-K. And if the study's coming out, which they won't talk about, is that this isn't good. And there's some environmental there. Let's be real. Kids are poor. Parents don't have means. May not be parent. May not be parents. Maybe grandma. Several other things that play into it. The importance of education. But it shows you that it would be just, if this was to be en masse, that the thought of using this and all of a sudden kids are going to jump up to a certain level, that there may be more to that than just the schooling or the early start. Part of the reason that you see kids who excel in certain areas when, mom and dad have money and means and they go to Montessori school and they fight over that and these kids excel is because mom and dad are pushing them and to do these things. That's a big part of it. They're tiger momming it with it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Got some tweets and texts we'll talk about here in a little bit. In a little What's Trending? Plus, Anthony found the best thing. Speaking of children, I wonder about us sometimes in our country and parents and the weird progressive insanity that's out there. Longevity. Last night, I got home about 9:30-ish, went to bed immediately. I got up about 2:15 this morning, got into work. I feel fine. Amazing. And one of the big things is I take care of my body, and wherever I can find something that can help me, I do. One of the things I've started doing is for a long while, I've been using Longevity. Now, Longevity is got this incredible healthy body starter pack that you start with when it comes to them, but it is awesome. So what I do, first thing I do is I get Tangy Tangerine. It's a drink mix, 90 essential nutrients and probiotics. Also, I take Beyond OsteoFX for magnesium formula optimized for the absorption. But the thing I also love to do with this, and this is great, is they've got all of these incredible things like the Ultimate EFA, which helps with Omegas help support my heart and my brain. I've got tons of energy. I feel amazing. Longevity is knocked out of the park, and I want you to do the same. They're offering free shipping right now. Take advantage of it. So you're missing so many of these essential, things in your diet. A lot of times I could be as well. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. The majority of Americans are. This helps replenish that, give you the energy, helps with your heart health, and all these amazing things. Go to ChadBensonHealth.com right now. Kickstart True Wellness and check out all these amazing products. But try the Healthy Body Starter Pack. You will not be disappointed. Free shipping right now. ChadBensonHealth.com or call 855-321-HEALTH, 855-321-HEALTH. Chad Benson Show.
Wanna be, boys? Give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers. One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Let's take a peek, find out what's trending on the old interweb. Start on the Google. The Google, kids, the Google. Winter storm warning, going to be massive. What do they call it? The cyclone bomb? Is that what it is? It's going to be hitting Phil out there. Oh, geez, out there in Arlington, Virginia. Yeah, it's going to be pretty damn big. USA, El Salvador, World Cup qualifier game last night. U.S. wins 1-0, one step closer, qualifying for this year's World Cup that'll be held in Qatar, home of freedom. No, not so much. Ben Roethlisberger retired 18 years. 18 years he was in the NFL. He is retired from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Evangeline Lilly is also trending. She is, of course, a Marvel star, model, actress. She was at the anti-vaccine mandate rally. Should it just be we're against mandates, right? It's the non-mandate rally. I don't care what kind of mandate it is. It doesn't have to be vaccines. And of course now I think they're trying to figure out, okay, so how do we approach her? Because she's a woman and we don't know if she's vaccinated or not vaccinated, because there is a difference between being you can believe in vaccines but also be pro-freedom. Me. Mouse is trending. We'll talk about that mouse. Mouse was a Holocaust novel removed from classrooms by a school board in Tennessee. Speaking, a lot of mice talk here today. Minnie Mouse has traded in her dress for a pantsuit. Oh, my God. Head on over to the magical world of Yes Kids. Twitter. Thanks, Joe Rogan. So the battle between Joe Rogan and Neil Young is still going on. Apparently, you can now get a Neil Young station on Sirius XM. So if that suits your fancy, feel free to run over there. Apparently, Barry Manilow now seems to join Neil Young and deleted Spotify over continuing to host Joe Rogan's content. Not Barry. Cancel Spotify is trending. He's still getting 11 million downloads a podcast. Soak that up, kids. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Wokeness gone crazy. Talk a little bit about that. Plus more on the Neil Young, Joe Rogan insanity. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We talked yesterday about the breakdown of society, Seattle there. Somebody tweeted at me because we were talking about the guy that stole the TV, and then the Judge Dillon in Seattle. So a guy steals a 70-inch TV out of Target, scuffles with the police. He has apparently hit that target 22 times in 3 months, and the judge lets him go on his own recognizance. And the guy texts me or tweets at me and says, own recognizance means you have to show up for court. You're released on your own. I'm like, you're not getting the point. The point is, after being arrested, what was this, like 35th time or whatever, at some point, don't you think we got a problem? But not so much. But when you have everything now has become politicized, right? Science is politicized. Science should have been one of those things where you're over there. You're in a different world. You guys are doing your own things, and it should have been like news. It's not biased. We're just going to, whatever it is, right? You find something, you bring it to us kind of scenario, and then you deal with it. And that's what science should have been. And it's not that, because they realize that, we could weaponize it. Climate, weaponize it. We could, whatever it is. The law is the same way. It's the weaponization of it. In particular, when it comes to overcharging people and absolutely controlling people. I mean, I was looking at this the other day about the amount of laws that we have and the amount of new laws that they've created since like the mid-90s is massive. In fact, it's so big that the federal government doesn't even know how many of them. Many of them, like, you couple the laws that they have with also federal regulations. So you've got tons of federal regulations, and then they can kind of overlap. But I'm reading this thing, I think it was like in a Las Vegas newspaper. I scanned thousands of these things, and it was incredible, the amount of insanity. And that, I think it was a professor back in the early 90s, Professor Carter, said that 7 out of 10 Americans unknowingly commit felonies all the time because it's just the dumbest things in the world that are. And so laws are weaponized. And the feds have so many of them because they use them, right? They use them as much as they can. Now you've got woke DAs who also use their positions to do insane stuff. Came across this. If you guys don't know what's happened over the last several years, large blue cities, through the help of the likes of George Soros and many of his PACs and money, have gotten people elected who essentially look at criminals and say, you're not only not a criminal, you're a victim in many situations. And because of that, we won't do anything to prosecute you. San Jose is talking about making legal gun owners carry liability assurance for their guns and pay a fee every year to help stop gun violence to nonprofits. All the while, they released 3 murderers late last year on their own recognizance. And they're like, we can't find 2 of them. Really? Alleged murders. My bad. How about this? Here's a perfect example of insanity. So no bail. That's the big new one, right? And we've seen what's happening as the spikes in crime across the country are taking place because nobody is prosecuting. They're not even trying in some way, shape, or form, the police, because they don't, what am I going to do? I'm going to arrest you for something that they're going to not charge you with. I'm going to spend hours doing paperwork, and at the end of the day, you're laughing at me as you walk away. One of them, who may be the leader in the wokeness department, is George Gascon. They're trying to recall him. He is a nut, to say the least. And he's their DA. So you've got George Gascon, and up in San Francisco, where he was DA at one time, you had now his sidekick, who is a nut job up there as well, Chesa Bodine, who they're trying to get rid of up there. Adams in New York, the new mayor, is dealing with a guy who refuses to punish criminals. I mean, this is the insanity. Listen to this, though. As I paint all these pictures, a trans child molester who's 26, sexually assaulted a girl, 10, is sentenced to 2 years in a juvenile facility because the LADA refused to prosecute her as an adult. Judge Mario Barrera said his hands were tied by Gascon. I want to be clear, Barrera said. The filing of a transfer motion is entirely within the discretion of the district attorney. And Gascon said he was concerned Tubbs may be a victim of assault while in prison. Yeah. Hannah Tubbs, formerly known as James, pled guilty in 2020 to sexually assaulting a young girl in a bathroom when she was 17. Prosecutors have pushed for her to stay in L.A. County Jail and be tried as an adult, but Gascon declined to file a motion, worried that he said that she may be victimized in an adult facility. Gets better. 2 years in juvenile facility and no requirement to register as a sex offender. The judge went on to say, because of George Gascon's blanket policy against transferring any juvenile to adult court, even if the 17-year-old rapes or murders an innocent child, James, Hannah, Tubbs will not have to register as a sex offender and will not spend any time in county jail or state prison. That's the insanity of which we live. And you want to watch down the breakdown of society. It has nothing to do with this person being trans. It's all to do with the fact that you sexually assaulted a 10-year-old. And now you have zero repercussions. You're going to go to a juvenile facility and in 2 years you'll be out, which will probably be much sooner than that. It's crazy, but that's what we have. One person says, Catherine Berger on the Board of Supervisors, the 5th District, and the family of the young girl attacked by Tubbs, they deserve justice. It's useless to catch a criminal like Hannah Tubbs if we don't follow through and seek justice for victims such as the 10-year-old girl he sexually assaulted. She bears the burden of a lifetime of trauma. Tubbs will be offered therapeutic interventions under the auspices of restorative justice and possibly granted only probation or parole. Tell me there's justice there. There isn't. Because that's what they wanted to create, a victim world of this insane. I mean, you can't tell me that's not insane. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with you being trans. It has all to do with, it goes back to when we see the breakdown of society happening in a lot of big cities. It's the reason people are moving to smaller towns. They may have progressive ideas, but they also realize their progressive ideas are failing. And we're watching this across the board with woke DAs releasing, failing to prosecute, essentially telling everybody they're the victims as much as the person that they perpetrated whatever act they perpetrated them on. That is not a way to run a society. I'm sorry. It's BS. And if you think that's a way to run a society, welcome to your craptopia. Portland's going, we're having riots all the time. We're having issues all the time. We can't get police back here. Why? Because you don't support your police. And then you wonder why crime goes up. It's not hard. It isn't. It's not hard to realize that. Put one and one together. When they do, they come up with unicorn. Well, the rest of us who live in a real world come up with two. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Minnie Mouse, speaking of insanity, what are you wearing?
Minnie Mouse is switching things up, reclaiming her power with a major wardrobe.
By the way, can I just say, first of all, if I had to read something like that, I'd be like, I'm not going to do that. But she's reclaiming her power? I didn't know she had power. I didn't know any of them did because they're not real. I'm sorry to stop you.
Minnie Mouse is switching things up, reclaiming her power with a major wardrobe change. For the first time ever, the longtime Disney sweetheart, she's going to be trading in her iconic polka dot dress for a pair of pants. Disneyland Paris announcing Minnie will wear trousers for its upcoming anniversary celebration. The new look is set to debut in March for Women's History Month.
So they're like, we should dress her like Hillary Clinton because she's super beloved. It's going to happen in France, so she knows she can be smoking a cigarette. Really? Reclaiming her power. Saw somebody, like yesterday, I posted that, and somebody started debating. You know, they start fighting, right? Like, you just have to post something, and it's like they go after it. Doesn't matter what it is. You can say hi, and people are going to fight, and like the fourth one becomes racial, and then you're a racist, and it's so. But I had to remind everybody that she's not real. Because she's a mouse who's also not a woman. That doesn't matter. Oh, boy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I do love hearing from all of you. A lot of stuff to get to. Some of your tweets, some of your text as well. Nutrisystem. Love it. Yesterday, I had a chocolate muffin for breakfast. Today I had a chocolate muffin again for breakfast. Why? Because, well, I loved it and I was hungry. So as you guys know, losing weight can be tough. And one of the big tough things is we don't want to go on this major diet, right? Like nobody really wants to. And when you usually do, what happens? You start to yo-yo. You go down 20 or 30 and then all of a sudden you go up 40 and you're like, oh, that sucked. And part of it is because you're going to the extremes. How about stopping that and get with Nutrisystem? 50% off all their plans right now. But guys, let me tell you something. New premium meals, 30 grams of protein, big, filling, delicious. They got burritos and pasta. They got all kinds of yummy stuff, stir fry. They got sesame beef with broccoli. You name it, they have it. Advanced nutritional science helps keep your blood sugar levels steady. And you lose weight. I get breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, all sent to me. I don't have to do anything. It takes a few minutes to heat them up, and away I go. Right now, start doing what I'm doing. Lose that weight. Feel better. I'm down, I don't know, because we moved over to my mother-in-law's house right now, and because of that, I don't have my scale with me, but last I checked, I was down like 10, 11 pounds, and it's been a bit. I feel great. My clothes feel better. I absolutely love it. Right now, Nutrisystem.com/Chad saves you 50%. I said that right. 50% right now. Go to Nutrisystem.com/Chad. Nutrisystem.com/Chad. That's for all plans, but guys, you will love this. Nutrisystem.com/Chad saves you 50%. Results vary. Offer restrictions apply. See store and website for detail. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but we are letting people go really fast at our border. People are pissed. Touched on a little bit earlier. We're flying them all over the country. And it's insane. And nary a word from the establishment media.
This is out of Westchester County, New York. This is in August, and what you're looking at is police body cam video of a chartered government flight landing in the middle of the night at the airport there with that flight full of illegal immigrants who get off and go on buses. They're basically trying to sweep this under the rug and keep it out of the spotlight. Take a listen.
Because what we don't want to do is attract attention. We don't want the media. Yeah. Like, we don't even know where we're going when they tell us.
Yeah, that's crazy. We don't even know where they're going. That's nuts. But I go back several months. It was the whole thing, right? You got all those Haitians and everybody out there in Brownsville, Texas, and And they're like, well, some people are going to be sent back, and the children and the family units and stuff, and that wasn't going to happen. Sorry, that again was a lie.
You can see dozens of those men being released by ICE there. No families, no little children, no women, all men. ICE source tells me these discrete mass releases have been happening since last year. And that source also told me that ICE is releasing illegal immigrants who have criminal records for misdemeanors. Some of those misdemeanors include assault, drunk driving, illegal reentry, and drug possession. I reached out to ICE. They did not deny it. They only told me they released these migrants on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And this has nothing to do with, it's because they're brown people. Shut up. Stop. You have no other argument. No other argument than, that's how you lose you're a racist. No, it's not that. By the way, if you saw my family, you'd be like, well, that's weird. My grandfather, who immigrated from Mexico, came here and passed away 2 years ago, became a citizen. Still to Shad, let me ask you a question. He was not a fan, by the way. Not a fan at all of a lot of what we're seeing. Would like to have seen things made a little bit easier, but totally against this. And to say that this isn't open borders, you are lying to yourself. Lying. This is insane. 2 million people, 2 million people have passed through that we have basically applied for asylum. We've given them their hey, wherever you're going to be, 123 Maple Street. They've been driven off, or somebody picked them up, or we've Ubered them somewhere or flown them somewhere, and they've met with family or whatever. They dumped them in a place where they don't have any resources, whatever happens. And then they're supposed to get to the place where they're supposed to go and, eventually have an asylum hearing and go from there. The reality of that is that's 2 million people that we know of. Brandon Judd, who is with the Border Patrol, head of their council, said, if we're lucky, we catch 40%. Let's say you catch 50 or whatever, come in contact, whatever it is. That means another 2 million got in. So that's 4 million people. We can't have a discussion that maybe this ain't working, and that your policy of sucking at the border, well, that's your policy, isn't good for America. 323-538-2423 at ChadBensonShow.com. You check out we got the Getter, we got the Twitter, we got all the other itters, popular ones. Instagrams as well. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Biden and the old president of Ukraine, Zelensky, who a lot of us are familiar with the chaos and craziness of Trump phone calls and whatnot. And now, of course, you've got the issue over there, which is the Russians. How bad is it? How close are they? Our satellites are telling us one thing, and that one thing is that there's 100,000+. They're pretty open about it as well. It's no secret. They've already taken Crimea. And for those who don't quite get it, and I don't think a lot of people do because out of sight, out of mind, Crimea, that was a long time ago. There has been 14,000 people killed since the whole thing took place with Crimea. On a daily basis, there are gunfights on the border and in certain areas, kind of like a no-go zone. So it's you always knew something was going to give. Is this the give time? They had a phone call. How well did the phone call go? By the sounds of it, it didn't go great.
A senior Ukrainian official tells CNN that today's phone call between President Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, quote, did not go well. The two disagreed about the immediacy of the threat of a Russian attack on Ukraine. The White House and Pentagon have been emphatic that they believe an attack could be imminent. We should note the White House just released its own readout of that call, and there was no mention of President Biden's warnings or the two presidents' disagreements. The White House did say Biden underscored America's commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty.
Yeah, did do that. But there was definitely some differences.
We are grateful to the United States for their ongoing support to our sovereignty and territorial integrity. But I'm the president of Ukraine. I'm based here, and I think I know the details deeper than any other president.
Yeah. And part of that is the fact that he believes that Biden is overreacting in a lot of the things that may happen. He's thinking, you know what? You're pulling people out of here. You're making it seem like there's an imminent today threat. And we know there is a threat. That we do know.
There was definitely a disagreement about the sort of level of risk that the country is facing when it comes to a Russian invasion. On the one hand, President Biden saying the threat is imminent. Ukrainians pushing back on that, saying that the threat, according to their intelligence analysts, is a bit more ambiguous than that, and it's possible that there won't be an invasion. Whereas President Biden apparently telling his Ukrainian counterpart that an invasion was virtually certain later on in February, when the ground becomes more frozen in this country.
Yeah, and that's kind of been, and we've talked about that for quite a while, because I too have sources. And the thought has always been February. January's nasty. February is a different world over there. And to freeze makes everything easier to get from point A to point B. Plus, and it'll be late in February. Nothing's going to happen. A week from today, the Beijing Communist Olympics open up. And so Xi and him being pals, he's not going to take away from that because he's going to need it. Here's it. We'll put sanctions on them if they do anything, and the world will come down. Other places will put sanctions on him, right? And he'll use the power play of, in particular in Europe, of cutting off the spigot. So where a lot of countries are getting their natural gas and their energy from is oil. I think it's about 35 to 40% in Germany, but they just turned off 3 of their nuclear reactors, their power plants where we're powering their country. And so they're really beholden to them. They're sending them some helmets though. So that's good. So like, hey, do you guys want to help us? Yeah, here's a helmet. Thanks. Why don't you not give me anything? It'll be better. It's not even a good helmet. These are used. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. Like tomorrow, I don't think it's imminent. Unless somebody from the Ukraine, pops off, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But it would still take away from the Communist Olympics and Xi. And if we put a bunch of sanctions on them, they're going to need the Chinese to really help prop them up. I don't know what is the go away, we're calling everything off thing that the pooter wants. Because you don't come that far and not get something. You got to get something. You don't come that far with that many people and not get something for the effort to save face. Maybe they're going to slice off more of the land in and around Crimea. It's one of the things that we had Mike Lyons on the other day. You can grab the podcast. He was on Wednesday talking about the fact that it is one of the 2 places that their subs, they have access to their subs that they can get to that doesn't have permafrost. It's been one of the big issues. So do they want a straight shot there? That's the one thing they don't have. Well, they have the Crimea and the port. They don't have land to get to it. So how do they go about doing that? Maybe that's it. And of course they want some sort of assurance that NATO's not going to do anything. as far as putting weapons on their doorsteps. But let's not forget that this guy, the Pooter, he is dreaming of a Soviet Union. He's never forgiven any of the old guard for doing what they did in allowing the breakup of the Soviet Union. He dreams of something bigger. He looks at himself and says, I am Lenin, I am Stalin, kind of like Xi is with Mao. They're writing their history that they can live in today when it comes to that worshipness. So, but when is that going to be? That I don't know. I don't think anybody does, but I would have to say it's going to be at least another 3 weeks or so before anything I think potentially crazy could happen, because you're not going to mess with Xi in his Olympics. He's got a chance to show off the Bat Flu Olympics, and you're not going to miss that. That's going to be super exciting. There's going to be no fans there. I don't even know if they have snow there. I know last week they did. They're a week away from it. And I'm curious about this. I thought about this last night. Right. First of all, for those of you who don't know, the Olympics, in particular the IOC, but is, as far as corrupt organizations, right? You've got, the IOC is up there. The World Health Organization has been absolutely corrupted. Our government's corrupt. Every government has some sort of corruption. But as far as just like independent organizations, like the IOC, boxing was always rife with corruption. Soccer, they're corrupt, except in the games. Let the games play, but they want you to pay their thing. The IOC and like boxing and stuff, there's corruption everywhere. And I want to find out what happens, and this is something that I saw voiced some concern the other day about COVID testing over there. Who gets to administrate it? What if I am what if I'm the best in the world and tomorrow I'm racing and I'm favored to beat the Chinese or whatever it is? What if I suddenly test positive for COVID and I can't participate? And then all of a sudden I'm, I don't know what they do at this point. I don't send you home, right? They probably put you in some sort of quarantine facility. What's that going to be like? And then they say it was a false positive. Would I be surprised? No. Would you? No. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. A lot of stuff still to get to. We're going to talk to Zack Abraham, Bulwark Capital. We're going to talk about the financial side of things. Is okay, what's really the rate hikes all about? How much more expensive is money getting at this point in time? And I've had a lot of people the last couple of days talk about, okay, so why is raising rates going to slow the economy down, and why is slowing the economy down something that people want to do? It's tough for people to wrap their heads around. He's going to unwrap it, make it pretty easy. Keep it simple, stupid. Talk to him at the bottom of the hour. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Just ask my dog Doodle, even though he doesn't speak English. He'll tell you. He was not long for this world. He was cantankerous. He was mean. He was very bitey. We didn't know what to do with him. And because his hips were bad, we adopted him. He was much older than they told us he was. And by the time that we realized that, we loved the little guy. And he was having some severe issues. And we thought, we can't have him in pain. We can't have him biting the kids. Then lo and behold, we started giving him Rough Greens. Oh, God, going on, 3 years now. Start well into our second year. And it's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. What it has done for him, especially when it comes to his hips, is amazing. He's got more energy. He's happier. He's healthier. We give it to all of our dogs, and they want to give it to you. K9 VitaSmart Rough Greens. It's a free bag. All you have to do is pay for shipping. That's it. That's a pretty good thing. Pay for shipping. Watch what happens. Your dogs will love it. It's got omega-3, 6, 9, vitamins, minerals, probiotics, all these incredible things. RUFFgreens.com/Chad, roughgreens.com/Chad. Try it now before you buy it. Cover the cost of shipping. It comes to you. You can call them directly at 866-MyDog77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what? Say what? This kid has no chance. Just want to let you guys know that. I'm gonna make a prediction. You know, when people talk about woke, wacky stuff, you don't realize the fact that it's incrementalism, right? It's like inch by inch, a little bit closer, 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 and spreads out. And some of this debate that goes on with gender and craziness, and it can be ridiculous, and both sides go overboard somewhat to an extent. But we've also got this younger generation that is just the kids. What are you doing to your kids? Case in point, these group of yahoos.
Hey, so are we assigning our baby a gender? And if so, what is that gender? So short answer is we are not assigning them a gender socially, but we will be assigning them one legally. So you actually can assign an X for their birth certificate here, but we will be choosing M or F based on what they are assigned at birth. And that is because we want them to be able to navigate legal institutions with relative ease. But if at any time our child says, actually, I'd like to change it to X, that's great. We will happily facilitate that whenever they ask for it.
Chad, why should you care about this? Because this invades everything. All the conversations in the world. The how many of you, I talk about it, how many of you have to go through unconscious bias training or all kinds of new things that you were like, why are we having to do this? Why did so-and-so say something that they didn't do it out of malice, but all of a sudden they're getting punished for it? It's an everyday thing. And these are the kids that are coming out into the world. And it's insane. I'm sorry. It is. And now you're saying, well, we're just going to raise kids. We're going to go against all the things we've ever done in human history. And we're doing this because this is now the thing.
But socially, we're going to be trying to raise them as gender neutral as possible. So we're going to be getting them expansive clothing options. We're going to try to use the them pronouns largely. And we are going to try to just give them as many options as possible. And once they're at an age where they can start communicating their gender and their preferences, then we will listen to those and advocate for them.
If your boy or girl says, I'm a boy or girl, you shouldn't have to advocate. Let it be. But it doesn't matter. And I see it more and more because I have little ones. And I see what they go through. It's and you can't have a conversation, right? It's like we can't have a conversation. It doesn't matter what it is in this day and age. You can't have a conversation without people overreacting and nobody with common sense taking the lead. Common sense says, hey, you want to live a gender-free life, that's fine. Let a kid be a kid. And you can't tell me that if it's a boy or a girl and it goes over and picks up a truck and it's a boy, that you're not going to try to steer him over to the other toys. You're trying to raise, I don't know.
We will be providing a cis-friendly pronoun option for like elderly relatives and stuff who like have a hard time getting it, but we're not announcing that to the internet at the time.
Okay. And it should be open for criticism. There's zero wrong with criticism. Like, I get criticized all day. People tell me I suck all the time. I go through some text message here in a little bit, and I'll tell you how bad I suck and how horrible I am, and et cetera, and what a fool, and da-da-da. And that's totally great. It's fine, because it's an opinion kind of thing. But this is, scientifically, we can go back through human history and look at this. This is Bitwood. Now we're changing it. And it goes back to the fall of society. Go look at all of the great societies that started to fall apart. What did they have in common? Crime started to get rampant. Laziness. Things like non-gender, people just coming up with wacky. It all started to just, and we're in the midst of a mass laziness revival as well. What was that supposed to mean? Were we ever lazy before? No, but we're reviving it because it was sleeping. That's a tough thing, man. It's a tough thing. I look at that kid and I think that's your parent. You don't have parents. You have activists. You don't have parents. You have activists. Somebody asked me yesterday, actually, was Jack going to be a conservative or is he going to be a liberal? And I said, his mom's pretty liberal. She's very progressive. Great lady. But he's going to be whatever he's going to be. Now, if you ask me about my daughter, I think she's a little bit righter on the scale. But she's 3. I'm kidding, of course. But it doesn't matter. I'm not going to push them either way. This, though, feels like you are not a parent. You're trying to be somebody who is going to shape them in the world that you want to live in it rather than let them be them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. The market goes up. The market goes down. It plays a big part on your life. What's going to happen with interest rates? How is making money more expensive and then trying to slow down spending going to make everything better? Zack Abraham, Bulwark Capital Management, going to join us straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The market, nobody knows what to do with it. Every one of us, poor, rich, middle class, upper middle class, babies who don't even know, we all participate in the economy, and the economy is important. And a lot of doom and gloom this week. Some people are celebrating, we had 5.7 GDP last year. It's amazing, biggest since 1984. Jeremy Grantham came out last week. Jeremy Grantham talking about the fact that he thinks we're in a triple super bubble. Joining us now is our financial guru, Zack Abraham, Principal Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark Capital Management. Let's put it all together. Is it doom and gloom, Zack, or is this just something that is going to be a bump in the road?
There's a $20 trillion question, right? I think that it kind of depends on how you look at it. I will say this, the GDP print that came out yesterday, considering we were in the middle of this Omicron variant deal, and if you look back at Delta, you can see a direct correlation between economic activity, and the new variants coming out, right? And so that's dampening, and you still grew at 6.9%, 7%. I think it's going to be funny watching the politicians take turns taking credit for 7% GDP, but that is inflation, right? It's not, we're not out there to the good old days in the 50s and Detroit being fired up. You know what I mean? This is very much an inflation story at this point, and I continue to tell people that, guys, the answer to this is not bonds. It's not cash. It's not all stock either. It's certainly not all the high-flying tech stocks that have worked so well for the last 10 years. So, to answer your question, Chad, I think there are unbelievable, unique opportunities out there, and I think there are some death traps. So I think it's a mixed bag. But as far as the economy goes, no, this isn't 7% GDP growth. As in, mom and dad are going to have 2 paid-for Chevrolets in the driveway in the paid-off house, right? That's not that kind of GDP print. That is inflationary, pure and simple.
So, and it's interesting because they're talking about raising rates. I've heard everything from 3 to 5, maybe 6 times this year. I had a bunch of people hit me up, Zach, say, explain to us how trying to slow the economy down is somehow going to benefit the economy. And I think, I get it. Some people get it, but it's kind of hard for a lot of people to wrap their heads around.
Yeah, I think we're getting at. I think we're getting at one of the problems of monetary policy, right? And this has always kind of been the thing, the hole in the boat, if you will, that we saw in this whole approach. So the idea is, economists believe, modern economists, what we call classical economists, some people call them Keynesian economists. What they believe is that growth and inflation are synonymous. Now, guys like me who are more traditional or from more of the Austrian school of economics, we point to several periods in American history where you had solid growth that was actually above the inflation rate. The 50s are a perfect example. Despite that, modern economists will not accept that. Inflation equals growth, right? So if you've listened to the Fed for the last 13 years, you've heard them talk about inflation. They wanted to generate inflation. Now all of a sudden they've got it, and what are they talking about? Oh, no, we need to get rid of it. And you go, well, what did you think was going to happen, right? So the reason they want us, quote, unquote, slow the economy is they believe inflation is synonymous with growth. And I know that you're probably in your mind going, wait a second, that's not true. Sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. Yes, that is correct. Yet this is what they believe, and they hold to it like, with religious fervor. And so, I think that's going to be, we're going to get that bill. What we've been saying for about the last decade is inflation's sort of like the dog chasing the car, right? Everything's good up until the moment he catches it. And we're catching it right now. And now the only way to cool it off is to raise interest rates, Chad, but that's going to be a little bit tough when you now have 150% debt to GDP financed at the lowest rates in human history. Corporate America has the most debt on its balance sheet on record by far, and it's not even close. Look what happens to the economy if you raise everybody's borrowing costs just 2%. You'd probably lower earnings on the S&P by 20.
What happens? I was talking to Zach. I'm talking to Zack Abraham, Chief Financial Officer of their investment officer at the amazing Bulwark Capital, my buddies over there. And Zach, we were talking off air with my producer, and I've talked to a couple other people, and I brought this up. You raise rates. The average person feels it in ways that it's again, your credit card bill's more expensive. The money's more expensive to borrow. The mortgage you could have got last month for X amount of dollars has now gone up $200 or $300, maybe putting you out of that price range that you could have afforded. And we feel that. And it's not just about earnings on the marketplace, but across the board. You're not investing as much. All of these things are going to take place.
Yeah, no. I mean, this is, and look, this is why, Chad, this is why we've said, and we even told our clients this, hey guys, we are embarking on a journey that nobody has been on before. So let's take everybody's outlook with a big old grain of salt, right? And I think I hear way too much certainty even among professional investors, and they're like, well, what do you mean you're not sure? And I look at them and I go, guys, you got interest rates at 0% and the CPI at 7%. Why don't you tell me another time that's happened? And if these conditions have never existed, then let's exercise some humility and realize that we don't know precisely what's going to happen. But I think we understand the basic trajectory, Chad. You're going to have a scenario where the Fed freaks out over inflation. At some point, they will be too aggressive on rate hikes, and the economy and the market will respond violently. At that point, what they have taught us over the last 15 years is they will step in when the pain gets big enough, right? And they will probably respond with even greater crazy spending because that's the trend, right? It doesn't get smaller, it keeps getting bigger. Have you noticed that? The bailout packages just keep getting bigger, right? So they will do that, and then that little cycle and game will play out until the dollar breaks. Now, that could unfold over a 15-year period of time. It could be unfolding now. There's really no way to know. But at the same time, what I will tell people is, guys, yes, you should be freaked out, but the answers are not hiding underneath your bed. The answers are smart risk-managed portfolios that are risk-balanced, right? I mean, that's the only answer. It really is. And you have to be exposed to inflationary assets to protect yourself through that. And they're going to be volatile at times. Look at oil, Chad, right? Everybody's jumping on the energy bandwagon. 2 months ago, people were talking about oil going back to $30, right? 2 months ago. And they were all freaked out. Now everybody's back on the bandwagon. Go look at the price of oil. That's normal. That's a normal commodity bull market right there. That's what these things do. You're going to have to ride some volatility. And you're going to have to be a big boy. But if you want to protect wealth, the answer is not sitting in cash or sitting all in gold. You got to be more diversified, and you got to be a little more strategic than that.
Talking to Zack Abraham, the investment officer over there at Bulwark Capital, we talk about crazy times that we live in, and it is lunacy at times. And I get a ton of questions about this because we do talk about finance because the people live in the economy world. The average person who's maybe getting into investing, right? You got the Robin Hoods of the world. They've made it almost video game like to do some of these things. But people are interested. One of the big things that happened last year is you had the meme stock explosion, right?
Yeah.
And crypto. And crypto's never going anywhere. One or two will emerge as the kings. And with blockchain and all the technology, that'll be good. But you've had all of these things and the meme stock side of stuff. What's the average person looking around? They're trying to find information. They want to do something. They want to invest. They want to be smart. But what are they to do?
Look, I think that there are two approaches, and we talk about this on the show all the time. Am I biased? Yeah, I run my own firm, right? If I didn't think we had the best answers, I wouldn't be running on my own firm. That being said, we're not the only ones with the answers. And there's two ways as investors I would go right now. Okay, I would go with smart, active managers that are real active managers, meaning they're not sticking you in a mutual fund or an ETF. They're actually watching your portfolio on a daily basis. And make sure they have a credible track record. Talk to clients. We got a huge list of references, and I'm shocked how few people ask for them, right? I think the best way to figure out if somebody's worth what they say. The other thing with us, look for the track record. Benefit with us is you've got a radio show, so you can go listen to the last 6 years, and it's kind of hard to run from the record. So active managers, they're going to manage risk and have a good track record of getting through tough times. Don't just look at the last 5 years. There are a lot of heroes right now in the last 5 years that are getting eaten alive. Go look at Kathy Wood's fund, ARKK. Or go the Vanguard route, right? Those are the two options to me. Do not pay somebody to sit in a mutual fund or an ETF portfolio. Okay, you can do that on your own and not pay a fee. So what I think investors should do is go the Vanguard route and use low-cost index funds. Just make sure you include natural resources. Make sure you've got a well-diversified portfolio, not just stocks. Or go to an active manager with a track record. That would be – and if they really want to study and do it their side, I believe that individual investors can be successful. I've seen it. The one thing I would just say is make sure you've got the time to dedicate to it because it is a massively full-time job.
Absolutely. Zach, my man, thanks so much for coming on. Know Your Risk Radio. If you guys want to check it out, you guys get your podcast. You're all over the country. Appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, pal. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Zack Abraham right there, Chief Investment Officer, Bulwark Capital. And I'm telling you guys right now, it's the meme stock thing was I said last year, I don't know how many of you guys out there purchased the meme stock because you were going after the evil bad people, especially with AMC, right? Remember the whole movie thing? And man, so many of you guys blasted me. I had a couple people in the last 2 weeks reach out to me and said, dude, I got tore up. And I said, yeah, like you bought it, at a certain level and it was great. And you were able to rally against the evil bad. But the difference is they've got unlimited money and they've got unlimited time to let it sit there. And eventually the reality is it's going to come back to earth because it's not doing anything. The movie industry. That's what Bob Iger said. This is it. This may be it for the movie industry. Yes, of course. Now, how do you adapt and change? That's the side of it. People still have a thirst to go to the movies. And we see that with Spider-Man. But how do you adapt and change to not make it the end of it? But that whole AMC thing, what was it? What was it that Let's Go Brandon had a coin? I didn't even know. There's so many coins out there. And that fell. You got Dogecoin and crypto and all of these other things. People buying NFTs, people paying millions of dollars for something that they don't physically own or that's in front of you. And it's like a picture on the internet. We talked about, Anthony brought this to me the other day, the whole Julian Lennon. Because, it was supposed to be the Hey Jude's about Julian Lennon. And he's doing an NFT now where you don't actually get anything really. You get like a personalized message from him. So essentially, I'm giving you a bunch of money. And it's not like I get a piece of Hey Jude and every time it's played, right? Or if we license it in a video or something. It's crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. I want to check out Jack's stuff. I want to check out Zach's stuff. Check out knowyourriskradio.com. It's got a lot of interesting stuff. It's all informative. Go have fun. It's good to learn. The more you learn, I tell my kids that every single day. I make Jack recite it to me. The more you learn, the more you earn. I tell the girls that every day. The more you learn, the more you earn. And you can learn in a lot of different ways. And you can earn in a lot of different ways. But the less you learn, Well, yeah, you're going to burn. That's all I got to say. MyPillow, right now, opportunities galore. Save huge on what, Chad? How about this? 40% off the My Slippers. Giza Dream Sheets. $39.99. Oh! Yeah. 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Tons of deep discounts across all of the MyPillow selections. So you got the mattress topper, my favorite, the MyPillow at the lowest price ever, the Giza Dream Sheets, the towels, the slippers. Check them all out. Save big. Take advantage of it right now. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. When you do, you'll save big. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Don't make me wear your mask. Are you trying to kill me? What happens if you have corona?
No need to socially distance while listening to your Chad Benson Show podcast. 4 out of 5 experts say so.
I'm a scientist. There is no corona.
But hurry before they change their mind. You know they will. Chad's podcast found on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, and wherever you find your favorite COVID-free podcasts.
Oh my gosh. I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
That is me. You can tweet at me. You can text at me. Of course, the chaos and craziness of the world that we live in. We got Neil Young, doing what he did. And I'm so glad that Spotify basically said, look, dude, if you want to leave, leave. Nobody's going to sit here at this point. And it's ridiculous. It is. It's ridiculous. And the sad thing is when you go look at it, it's like Neil Young had like a free speech tour at one time. It's, all the crush on Spotify of, here's the crazy thing. So yesterday, Mouse, like the school board in Tennessee, McGinn County decided, which is the graphic novel, that the only graphic novel, by the way, that has ever won a Pulitzer Prize, they decided to ban it in McGinn County. Right. And it's Spiegelman who wrote the book. It's about his father and recounting the Holocaust. And there's you're banning books insanity. Right. And the left has done it, too. Right. Because it makes people comfortable and this, that, and the other. And on the other side, you've got the left that comes after Spotify all the time because they don't like what Rogan has to say. And so they just want to shut him down. And I'm glad that people are saying, hey, you know what? We're just going to ignore you.
Apparently, Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the same. Rock legend Neil Young has said he's pulling his music off Spotify because he doesn't want to be on the same platform as Joe Rogan. I guess the question really is, where is Spotify? Is it Spotify's job to sort of pick this up and run with the ball?
No.
Whose job?
It's not Spotify's job. We have a First Amendment in this country. We have to stick with it. You can't just pick and choose when you want to use the First Amendment.
Yeah, but people do. People do.
I agree that Joe Rogan is a horror. But the way to counter that bad speech is with more speech. The way to counter it is with boycotts. Mm-hmm. I admire Neil for doing this, Neil Young. He's from the 60s, where musicians took political stands in those days. So maybe other musicians will follow suit, and that would be legitimate. It's not a cancel culture. It's a consequence culture. And the way we handle it is we don't buy Spotify.
There you go. Ladies, 11 million downloads an episode. I think everybody that is in any kind of entertainment industry would dream for 11 million for a week or a month, let alone an episode. He's a horror. We should boycott. Wait, you just said don't buy Spotify. Are we boycotting? We're not buying Spotify. It's a consequence culture. We should have more speech. Well, what if I don't like your speech? It's always, remember, it being that amendment thing wasn't put there to protect your speech that you like. It was there to protect the speech that you don't like. And vice versa. Have a good weekend. We'll do it again on Monday. Be safe to each other this weekend. I got the Chiefs and I got the Rams. Should be interesting. Night-night, Jack.
is The Chad Benson Show.